job. When you're negotiating, a lot of times you got multiple deals going on at the same time, and you're trying to land a fish, various positions, and so they did a great job of balancing that between phone calls and text with many agents at the same time to get these deals done. Brian Gain, Malik Boyd, and our pro staff just been doing a lot of meetings every day and to get the board set, our free agency board set. They did an excellent job just kind of helping narrow my focus and then what I could feed to the coaches as far as where our priorities were, the types of players we could land, and then Sean and the coaching staff did a great job just being able to talk visions with some of these guys. And you don't always agree, but you have we let everybody voice their opinion, and we kind of lay it out there. And sometimes we have various targets, but in the end, we were able to land guys that we had targeted. Didn't land them all, you never do, but we feel the additions will help us. And then, we're not done, we still got work to do, but as we sit here today, several days into this, we think we had a good start. And then, obviously our owners, Terry and Kim, to pay a big fish like Von Miller, that's not easy. And as I've said here many times in these press conferences, I know it's not that way at 32 franchises, and so I'm very appreciative of them. We have very open, honest conversations about structure and how these things will work, and they're always so supportive, so I appreciate them. So with that, I'll open questions.
What was that? I think the last time we talked to you here anyway was your end of season or whatever.
Yeah.
You said something about not being a big spender, not making a big splash, and do free agency.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm messing with you.
No, I know you're right.
What happened there?
Yeah. Adam, you still have to, I couldn't have told you 2 years ago we were going to trade for Steph. I really couldn't. You try to prepare yourself, you try to pay attention to what's going on at the other 31 teams. And in this case, you're paying attention to free agents, where guys are going, and you're kind of filling it out. And, in this case, Von's agent, he reached out at the time and told us that you never know where someone's interest level is going to be. And, in the past, I have checked on Vaughn when he was in Denver. And, I'd like to check around a lot and see, how available someone is. We all hear rumors Joby Brandon was straightforward the whole time. That's Vaughn's agent. And, one of the things I said to Joby is, or is he all in? Would he really want to be here? You always want to make sure when you're getting into something like this, because when you go down the road of paying, 17.5 or, APY for that guarantee, is you're tying up funds and other deals are going on. And so I can't be in on other conversations while I'm negotiating this out. And so he was very aware of that and trying to push it through, and I thought he did a great job. There are many times you deal with people and they need some people to get in the game to get the team he really wants to go to. And so I just wanted to make sure he really wants to come to Buffalo. And he did all along. Joby was spot on that if we could work it out financially and hit some important points for them, that this was where he wanted to go.
So just one follow-up to that. Am I correct in understanding, was he a primary target for you to begin with, or did he kind of come to you guys?
Well, we evaluated him, and we look. We evaluate every year the highest free agent at pretty much every position. We wouldn't do it at quarterback right now with Josh, but how important pass rush is to me and to Sean and how we do things. So every year there's been big names and, guys getting traded, Khalil Mack getting, we know those things. We ask around, we check, and then a lot of times when you check, you're like, it's not going to work. I can't take the contract the way it is if it's a trade, or they're going to be in a different league of pay than we think we can do, or that we think it would make sense. And so you kind of just put all that in there and decide whether you're going to really go all in on that. And You know, I don't ever plan to be a big spender. That's not really, I want to build it and grow our own. But you know, I'm never going to shy away from seeing if there's something there. And in this case, we all watched this guy down the playoff stretch, and what he showed he still got. And I've seen pass rushers in the history of the NFL do well late into their career, into their 30s. And so, you know, I get the question of, you know, this guy's, you know, early 30s, but, you know, you didn't see anything down the stretch with the Rams that said he doesn't have it or he's declining by any means. So that's why it made sense.
Brandon, how much was there urgency to bring in this kind of fish? Seeing, like you mentioned, like Khalil Mack, Chandler Jones signing, how much urgency was it with teams in your own conference adding big-time players to add a big-time player like Vaughn?
Matt, it was just as urgent last year and the year before, but it's about, is it the right opportunity? Is it the right fit at the right time? And I can tell you, we've looked at, you know, like I said, I've looked at him before. Like last year, you know, they had a regime change, you know, new GM, and yes, I checked on him then. So I was interested a year ago. It just everything sometimes has to work out at the right time, and we've talked about when that worked out with Diggs. And so there's many times that sometimes it gets out there that it's crazy. Sometimes it gets out there we're involved and we're not. We're being used as a pawn. That's just part of the game. There's nothing to do about it. But there's many times that people don't know that we're in, and that's great because we're in, but it just wasn't going to work for some reason, and we move on. I mean, I don't think I would have put high Vegas odds on us landing Von Miller at, you know, as Adam said, my tone at that press conference. That's generally going to be my tone at all times. But if I do see the opportunity to land someone that I believe can help us at a critical position, I'm going to take a swing.
So when a player like Vaughn falls in your lap or expresses interest, and you're not expecting the amount of money that Vaughn may take to sign, or a player like Vaughn may take to sign, how do you philosophically look at the salary cap in structuring a 6-year deal, or somebody who's going to take some money to get here?
Yeah, I mean, we're still, I think I've alluded to it, either my season ender or some of the comments at the Combine, we're still not out of the do avoid or restructure Von Miller or no Von Miller. Like, you know, we're still working our way back with the cap. So, obviously, with a number his big, you have to get even more creative, not only with his deal, but with some other deals. And so we started that kind of early on, knowing that potentially we could be in on him or another player of that caliber, that we've got to structure some other things so that if we do land the player, we can fit it within our cap. Not only his deal, but some of these other deals that, you know, we did avoid, and, you know, whether we had it push off into 23, some we did 24. And that's where, like I said, Kevin Megang and Jim have done a great job of talking through this with me and us talking through how we can structure some of these to balance it out, not to all hit at once, where I got some large balloon payment waiting on me next offseason or the following. Now, again, it's never going to be easy when you start paying, you know, Josh Allen, Von Miller, just some of these bigger names on the payroll. You do have to make some sacrifices.
Brandon, have you ever been in a situation, what happened with J.D. McKissick, and can you kind of walk us through that scenario and what happened there?
Yeah, Sal, that was tough. You know, we had, you know, obviously he was a guy we targeted, and you know, in this business in general, when you have an agreement, it's good. But until there's ink on the paper, and, you know, his agent did a great job. Doug Hendrickson and C.J. LeBoy did a great job. There were some things that went down with the other organization, which is painful, but they chose to do what they did, and I couldn't stop it.
You say they did a great job. Let me ask you, does that in the future just in
Yeah, yeah, I've had it before where the agent has agreed with you on something, and then someone else calls and says, hey, what if I add $1 million? Or what if I do this? Or what if I guarantee this? And the agent, once you have an agreement, the agent's supposed to say it's over. And this agent did that. And this agent told the other club it's over, but the other club didn't back off.
Thank you.
If you read my,
Thank you.
yeah.
Brandon, care to talk about Jordan Phillips and the Shaq Boston reunion?
Yeah, I mean, it's great to get those guys back. We didn't want to see them leave. As we were talking about earlier, the finances get in the way sometimes. You want to pay them all. I remember when they both left 2 years ago, we hated, but we knew it was inevitable to probably lose one and maybe both. And it's exciting to see them. I've tracked them both and try to say hello to them if you cross paths or whatever. And, you know, Jordan came available first, and so we worked it out to get him on a plane as soon as Arizona released him. And then I think he recruited Shaq the rest of the way, and he wasn't going to let Shaq say no. So Shaq's just now getting here in the building. He's doing his physical, but we hope to get him signed today, and so it's good to get him back.
You guys are as close as you are, right? Like, you know, Super Bowl favorite, all those things. And you mentioned Von Miller expressed interest in coming here. Both those guys want to come back. O.J. Howard sat there yesterday and said, this is a place where, you know, players across the league want to come because you're obviously serious about winning. Can you maybe talk about from your vantage point, how that's evolved during your time here?
Yeah, I mean, I remember saying here a few years ago about people don't want to be in Buffalo, you know, whatever, but probably something profane. But, you know, it's exciting to me that the city of Buffalo got chosen over the glamour of LA or Dallas or some of these other cities. Like, that hasn't always been the case, and I think it's cool for our cities. I think it's cool for the Pagulas, and, you know, it's exciting for our community. And I hopefully will continue to do things that people will say, hey, I want to be a part of that. And that's helpful because a lot of these deals, the money gets close, and you're looking for the tiebreakers. And whether that's playing with Josh Allen, playing in front of Bills Mafia, you know, I think it all weighs. And with social media, I mentioned it before, you know, how active our fans are and how positive and how supportive they are, it helps. It really does. I hear it from players, I hear it from agents, and the Pagulas have a great name through the agent neighborhood, and that they care about players. They've allowed us to do all the things with sports performance, sports science, the facilities, and it's not that way everywhere. And I'm not just saying it. It's said to me, and I'm appreciative, and we'll hopefully continue that track record moving forward.
Brandon, what? Follow up on the McKissick deal, kind of.
Yeah.
Obviously, you have a close relationship with a lot of people in Washington. How does that complicate things? I mean, because you seem upset about how that kind of wrapped up. Does that complicate things when you have, you know, that background with people like that?
Yeah, it does.
The decision with Levi Wallace to not retain him, where do you go from here at cornerback now?
Yeah, I mean, we're still looking, and you know, I'm so appreciative of Levi, and that's those are where it gets hard too. You know, you tie up money with one player, maybe you're out on some other players, and then that player backs out. You know what I'm saying? That's the part that people don't think about. And so, but you know, Levi, he's a great story. You know, my son's a freshman at Alabama, and he says they talk about Levi down there just in the football offices of walk on, all that stuff. And what he did here and all the action, big part of our number one defense, undrafted. Hate to lose him, but going to wish him the best of success. He's the definition of true pro, and I wish him the best, and other than when we're playing against him. But yeah, we're still looking. You try and fill as many needs as you can, Jay. You know, with the resources. You know, you take a swing for Vaughn, you got to be thinner somewhere else to do that. So we're going to look, and there's still corners out there, and there's a long process as I talk to the coaches. You know, the main thing is to get this roster set, you know, by training camp. And if it's not set then, I'll keep looking, you know, to make sure we're ready to go at least by September.
How about backup quarterback as well? How far along are you there?
Yeah, I got some things in the works for there. Hopefully, early next week, we'll have that resolved. But do have some things. It's an important position, and I feel pretty good that we're going to find the right fit.
Brandon, it's hard to project because you're just starting free agency, really, right? There's a lot of holes still to fill.
Yeah.
But with Vaughn in the mix, two things. First of all, what does he bring? How do you feel like that your defensive coaches will use him? And then with him on the roster, projecting a little bit, is this a better defense potentially next year? I know it's hard to do that, but.
Yeah, you hope so. I mean, it's hard to say. This was a #1 defense and did a lot of really good things. You know, was every game perfect? As we said, no. Was the pass rush where we wanted it all the time? No. As I mentioned earlier, it had some really great games, some really good moments, whether it's first to run or our pass rush, but lacked consistent. And then maybe, you know, I look at Vaughn as twofold. You know, he's a Hall of Famer, okay? We got some young players on D-line, especially at end, that I think he's going to really help these guys, not only because he's out there, but just teaching them how to rush, tricks, how to read what a tackle's doing. Is he in a run stance, pass stance? What cues is he giving? I think all of that's going to help. And then he's going to help our inside rushers as well. And he's won 2 Super Bowls. I mean, unfortunately, I was a part of one of his wins. And so if you can't beat him, join him, as my son told me last night. But he's been great through this process. He's been transparent. You know, he talked about the struggle of making this decision, leaving L.A. And, you know, I said, listen, I was in Carolina 18 years, and my kids were crying when I told them that we're leaving. But it was the best thing for me, and just trust it. And I appreciate that. Some people don't want to tell you what they're feeling internally, and I respected his whole process. We gave him as much time as he needed, and I think he'll be happy here. And I think we're just going to get so much from him. He's a true pro. Obviously, he's a heck of a player, and maybe on the field, Matt, that closer, that finisher, okay, this guy knows how to get to the quarterback. It's proven. He's done it 115 or whatever times, and we don't have that on our roster, and this was the only way to get it.
So how much does a Von Miller signing creates that urgency to get to a Super Bowl?
Mookie, I was just as urgent here a year ago or 2 years ago. I'm going to be urgent here every year. There's always urgency. We're always building. I have to keep an eye on that, but we're urgent. You know, our coaches, they're studying, they're working, they're studying everybody's film. They want to win right now, and I'm trying to give them every piece to be able to do that.
And how much of Vaughn was kind of sensing the moment cap-wise with Josh's cap hits not going into the big balloon effect until next year?
Yeah, Joe, I mean, listen, as I said earlier, I would have tried to land Vaughn last year and other pass rushers. And it's just about timing. And if it didn't happen this year, doesn't mean I wouldn't have still tried next year or 2 years. We would have just, where we were with the cap or with Josh's money, we would have just tried to work that around. Again, we're going to be urgent, and that's not going to change. But I'm also going to try and structure things so that, you know, as long as we can, you know, you can never predict the cap, but as long as and as much as we can predict that we don't have to come in here and I can say, well, we're signing basically minimum players and we got to cut 10 guys just to get under the cap. Does that make sense?
With all those variables, right, accounting for all that you don't know, right? I guess kind of in layman terms, and I think a lot of fans would wonder, to what degree do you think you might be sacrificing the long term to win now with a signing?
Yeah, I mean, Adam, the more guys you pay, let's call it 15 plus, 20 plus, whatever it is, you can only fit so many. You know, I think we've done a pretty good job of setting ourselves up to be able to handle this, get creative, as I said earlier, push some voids or restructures to hit and different years. And, you know, we're not going to be out of the woods next year with this and beyond, but we're going to try to win now, but we're not, like I said, I'm not trying to set this up that if we don't win this year or the next year, then we got to blow it up and start over. You know, we're going to still trying to be a consistent contender. Again, it starts out winning. You got to win 10+ games to get, I'm not sitting here going, all right, we got a 2-year window. We got to win it, and then we're going to blow it up. That's not the plan at all.
Brandon,
Go ahead.
when you mentioned giving Vaughn time to make the decision and wanting to make sure he was all in, yesterday it was very clear he was excited to be here, but he was candid that it was really hard, he was going back and forth and kind of needed to be here to feel it was right. When did you sense that from talking to him yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, up until, like, I thought he did a great job. It's when these guys land, it's a new way of doing things. You got to negotiate the contract before you ever get them here and put them through a physical. The old days, you invite them up, you physical them, you meet them. Do they like you? It's like a date. And assuming the medical's good, which sometimes it's not. Sometimes you have some concerns. Then, hey, we're good. You want to be here? We'd love to have you. Then you get on the phone with the agent. Maybe he's still talking to a coach, or he's hanging out in a lounge to see if there's a deal worked out. If not, he leaves. Well, nowadays, the deal's done before they ever get here during the way the negotiating period works. So Vaughn got here. He goes to one doctor to do his physical, the ortho, and then he's got to go to the medical doctor. So he was in town for several hours before he got into our building, and then we bring him in and just kind of, we're not going to rush and say, put your name, like, get a feel for the place, walk around, meet our staff, meet the people. So we let him fill the whole thing out, and then at the end, he and his agent got together, and I know Eric Washington and Coach Frazier and Sean each spoke to him about the vision here, how we do things from practice to off-season program, just everything. Because he's been in Denver, he was in LA, just give him everything, and we got nothing to hide. This is who we are, and if you think that's the fit for you, let's go ahead and do this. And I thought he agreed, but he also wanted to make sure before he put his name on the contract that he was all in. And again, when he signed it, he was all smiles and excited to be here. And I appreciated how he went through it. He was very open and honest that he wanted to get here and make sure this was the right fit for him.
Brandon, how did things get to the point with Cole? Sorry, I'm going back here. To the point with Cole where he's asking for a trade, and then ultimately you guys decide to just release him.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. Here's what I'll say. Cole was a big part of our success. We brought him here in 19 with some of that free agent class, and that was Josh's second year. We kind of fixed the cap, and a lot of credit goes to Cole. He did some really good things here. I think the COVID thing, I mean, we all know, he had a strong stance, and I think it was tough on him. It was tough on his family. Not everyone agreed with some of his comments or his viewpoints, and I'm not talking about in the building, I'm talking about and I think, he just felt that maybe a change for he and his family would be best if we could find the right spot. We weren't just going to, necessarily trade him anywhere, and we told him we'd listen and be open. We want people to want to be here and make sure it's right. Didn't feel it was right to force him if he didn't feel he and his family thought it would be a great fit for him at this point. So ultimately, we also needed the cap space at that point, and we decided, once we made some of these moves, that it was time to let him, see if he could find a different spot.
Did you receive any offers for him?
For Cole, nothing substantial, talks, but nothing.
How about with Starr today? Was there any discussion about him being back on potentially a lesser cap hit?
So we had open, honest conversation with his agent, and ultimately just said, let's see what it looks like in free agency, and then we got some guys that we're tracking. If it makes sense for us, we may pursue them. If we do, where our money is, at that point, we'd make a decision. And starting last week, we had not made a firm decision on whether we were keeping Starr or not, but was very open with Chase, Callahan. And ultimately, once we signed, Jordan got released and became, if he's not released, maybe we're not here. And so Appreciate Starr, just like Cole, bringing him here. I know people didn't always have a feel for what he brought to our team. And again, last season, as I said, he really started and played really well for us for a guy coming off the opt-out year. It just, after COVID, he never totally got back to the guy he could be. And we just thought it was time for a fresh start for all of us. And again, like Cole, we needed his money off the cap.
There's been some reports that Ryan Bates is getting some interest around the league, maybe taking some visits. Where are you at with him? And I know that you can't predict the future, obviously, but just the process of giving him the original round tender, I guess you'd say.
Yeah, I mean, we gave him that so that, either option you can give him, he can go out and shop himself. And so I think that's what he and his agent have done, to go see what their market is. And if that's the way restricted free agency works, it's almost like you're unrestricted. The only difference is we can match. And so he can, up until about a week before the draft, that's kind of the deadline that he's got to sign the tender. He can not sign it and see if anyone has an interest, and we get a week to match it. So that's really, the way the game works. He's earned that right. Just like unrestricted free agents have earned the right to go to free agency, he's earned this right to do this. And so we'll see how it goes. It's happened, before with others. Maybe there's been talks. I think he's, taken a visit. Maybe he's got a couple more lined up. We were still in COVID times. Ike may have had that last year, but people weren't really doing the visits due to the rules.
Brandon, I know you got, young kids, probably played Madden football game. Does it feel right now like that's what the AFC is? I mean, there's all these high-profile moves. Deshaun Watson's going to Cleveland, all these big things. The AFC West is just absolutely stacked. Does it feel like the AFC is maybe the best it's been in a long time? Maybe ever?
Yeah, I'm voting for realignment, see if we can get in the NFC. Yeah, it's, you look at the schedule, and, I mean, we haven't seen it, but you just look at the teams you're going to run into. This may be as deep as the league's been in quarterbacks, at least on one side of the conference, and you always feel like it's true now, but like in the NFC, when I was in Carolina, we had Drew Brees and Matt Ryan and, Aaron Rodgers. It felt like, man, get to it seems like wherever I go, the quarterbacks want to flock and make my life a little harder. But it'll be fun. It's good for the league. And, ultimately, you're going to have to beat them at some point if you want to get there, whatever team they're on. So we'll see. I just was hearing about the Watson thing as we were walking down here.
Fortunately, you have one of those quarterbacks, but, you look at the Miller move and some of the others, the way you're fortifying that front. I mean, added importance to being able to get to the quarterback, obviously, in light of what we're seeing.
Yeah, Adam. I mean, that's, again, even if we were in the NFC, that'd be my same important. Like my philosophy, as I said many times, get yourself a quarterback and go get the other guys down. And that's where it starts and finishes. And I think you've seen that focus. Last year's draft, protect our guy and go get their guy. And that's, we all love the bells and whistles and all that stuff, but if your guy's not standing up or you don't get theirs down, it's going to be bad for you.
Care to talk about the O.J. Howard signing, and where do you see him fitting, especially after Dawson Knox breakout season?
Sorry, Mookie, I've been talking so much this week, running on fumes. O.J. Really liked him coming out of college. What a senior year he had at Alabama, and really, you saw his straight line speed, big target, good hands. He had the injury, the Achilles, a couple years ago in Tampa. Obviously, they brought Gronk down there, and Brady had that pre-existing relationship. So I think all that. This is just a chance for a restart for him. There is a talent there, and look at it that he and Dawson be a good pairing. They're both good in the pass game. He's improved in his blocking. I think that's something we'll continue to work on in the run game. But excited to get him. You forget how big they are. He walked him off. So I mean, it's a big man, and we could see him as a big target. I know in Carolina, some years we had Greg Olsen, Jeremy Shockey, Greg Olsen, Ed Dixon. Those big guys down the seam, and hopefully we have some of that with Dawson and now O.J.
Has there been any discussion with Jerry about possibly coming back?
Jerry Hughes? Nothing substantial. You know, I talked to Jerry, as I said at the combine, I talked to Jerry and Mario, you know, that we would keep an open door and open communication, but nothing beyond that.
Brandon, I know it's probably the third time now we talked to you since the season ended. The third time we asked you about a potential new deal for Stefon. I just ask because it seems like every other day a receiver is getting paid, and if you're at all concerned that if you were looking to do a new deal with him, the price just keeps going up, similar to maybe what the quarterback market's been like.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we've got Stefon for 2 years, so, you know, we know that, and we'll at the right time, we'll work with his reps and see if there's something to be done that makes sense for him. It's got to be fair. It's got to make sense for him, make sense for us. But Steph's been great. You know, he reached out to Vaughn, you know, when he heard on the recruiting process. I know Josh did as well, and you know, he's a winner. He's all in on winning, and sure, everybody wants to be paid, but he wants to be on a winning team, and I think he's been the best version of himself. So I don't see that being an issue.
I feel like it's safe to say that you'll probably add competition in the slot, but where do you guys stand right now on Isaiah McKenzie? If you get to camp and he's, you know, can you trust him to be the replacement to Cole Beasley?
Yeah, I think Isaiah's going to get every chance, no matter what we do, whether it's adding you know, another free agent. We're going to have competition. We do that everywhere. The draft, you know, who knows? Or, you know, there's always going to be someone after the draft that's another cap casualty or in June. So we'll continue to add that. But Isaiah showed us things last year when he got his opportunities late in the season, and we're looking forward to see, you know, kind of where he can take that.
Brandon, when you get a guy like Von Miller, do you hear from current players on the roster, and if so, what do they say to you?
Yeah, you know, Josh and Steph were excited, you know, and I heard from some others. Trey White gave me a big hug. You know, I saw him yesterday. He's rehabbing. Very emphatic Trey White as we know him. But, yeah, I've heard through some of the various people, you know, talk to this player. He couldn't believe, you know, Von Miller's coming to our team or, you know, whatever. So I think the guys, just like fans, get excited. You know, we all get excited. We all want to add good players that, you know, and a guy that's, you know, got the skins in the game that he's done in his career. Those guys are hard to get, and so when you get a chance, if it makes sense and that player wants to be here, take a swing. But the guys are, I think our players are excited that we've added him.
How is Trey's rehab going, and how does that affect what you do with this roster?
Yeah, I mean, Trey's doing well. I don't have like any update from kind of what I've said in the combine, but he's in there every day. He's got great attitude. He gave me a big hug yesterday. He looked normal. And so he's in there rehab. He's got his energy, and you know, I don't have a timetable. You know, he's going to try. I know this. He's going to try, and whatever day they told him, he's going to try and beat it. I know that.
Can you talk about that Pro Bowl left side that you have now with Roger Safar and Deion Jones?
Yeah, Roger. We hadn't talked about him, but we were in on Roger a few years ago. We ended up signing with Tennessee, and really had a great career at the Rams, and he's done a great job. Another guy who's an aging vet, but when you turn on the tape, you know, you don't see a guy that's dropping off. Did a nice job, gets his guy blocked. He's a leader. He's a pro. You know, Spencer Brown, he ran into him in the building, and Spencer was like, man, that dude was awesome. Like, he already felt it. And so he's going to be a good addition. I've heard great things from people in Tennessee, and I had done some due diligence when he was at the Rams, and they rave about him. And obviously Deion will enjoy that relationship, and I think they'll both help each other. And, you know, and we were able to get Mitch extended, you know, as well, which gave us some cap room, but also gave him some security and lets us know, you know, we'll have him beyond this year, which we're excited about, and Josh was very excited about.
Mitch did talk about being in Buffalo is contagious now. Is there any more guys down in Carolina that thinks the same way that Mitch is thinking right now?
I don't know. We'll have to see.
You ultimately did not submit a rules proposal for overtime.
Yeah. I didn't get any support for it, Sal.
No?
Yeah, nobody, they didn't like the timed rule. I don't know if they understood all the reasons. Yeah, I don't want to go into it detail. I was just trying to have a time, you know, that's what we were, play it out, and so that you didn't get, because you go down, if both teams get the ball, it still may come down the coin toss.
Right.
You know, Team A goes down, scores, Team B scores, well, now it's back to sudden death is one of the proposals. What still could turn out that it came back to the coin toss if nobody's defense. So our thought was just get the clock back into it, play the 2-minute out, like you're going to, if it's 10 minutes, 12 minutes, whatever amount of time, you just play another quarter. NBA, you play 5 minutes. Major League Baseball, both teams get the bat. We were just,
After the 2 possessions?
no, we were just saying start overtime with a clock and just play it out, however it goes. If it's 10 minutes, I take 8, you got 2 to tie it up. If you tie it up and I got 30 seconds left, I got 30 seconds to go get a fill, whatever. That was our concept, but it got no love.
I'm not sure if you saw, but Tim Settle basically screamed out of excitement during his press conference yesterday about being here.
No, I did not see that.
Oh, yeah, mid-sentence.
But it doesn't surprise me because he was very bubbly in the lunchroom, was the first place I went to meet him before he came to office. He was popping out of his chair, which I liked his enthusiasm.
Okay, I was wondering if he was always like that and what he'll bring to this team.
Yeah, I think he is. I think he's an energetic guy, positive personality. I think, he's probably going to tell you what he thinks, but in a good way. And so we liked him. He had, I think, 5 sacks a year ago. This year, it didn't work out as well. I don't think his play time was as high as it was the year before. I'm not sure of the reasons of that, but they had a really good D-line. He's playing behind Payne and Allen, and they had Ioannidis, and, a very deep group. And, he's only 24. We studied him. We called Tremaine to ask him, his thoughts. He signed off on him that he would fit what we're looking for, and so he'll bring some exciting energy to the D-line group.
Where do you see him, more of a 1 or a 3?
I think he could do both. I'd say probably 1 first. We tried to add some beef in there, but not just with these moves, not just beef, but also some pass rush. And as I said, he had 5 sacks a year ago. I think he had 2.5 one of the other years. So I think he's got some pass rush. I don't think he's just a true like nose tackle, one tech type.
AJ Espinosa is going to his 3rd year. How much will you get a thorough look at him this season?
Yeah, I mean he's as we said, we got some young guys, him and Boogie and Greg's. All these guys, it's their chance. They're gonna have to step up. We're gonna need them, and again, that was part of the attractiveness to add a guy like Vaughn to help these guys, teach them, and the other part, it's going to free him up a little bit. I would assume Vaughn's going to get some attention at times, and we're going to count on them. They're going to have to win their one-on-ones, and that'll be huge for us.
I know the hope at one point was to bring back Harrison Phillips if it worked out for both sides.
Yeah.
So what kind of happened there? What were those discussions in?
Yeah, it's tough. You put values and you try and figure it out, and you're also negotiating with different guys at different times, and sometimes you gotta strike when you get a guy. And so like Tim was kind of, we were dealing with different guys we kind of started out, let's just target D tackles. We were working on some other things, but our main focus was let's get 1 to 2 D tackles that first day. And so we were working on a lot of them. I think you saw a lot of them were coming off the board. And it's not a deep position in the draft. I think that also pushed people to try and get the guys that they thought fit their defense, whether it's 3-4, 4-3. But we got settled, and we were still in on Harry. It's just a matter of timing and working on the value and where we saw it and what he got to. And again, like I said about Levi, Harrison's been a great pro, and we drafted him here in 2018, and it didn't work out in my philosophy of draft, develop, and re-sign. I think unfortunately you can't keep them all, but he's going to do a great job in Minnesota. And as I told him, we're not closing any doors. Talked to all the guys that signed with new deals, and we're super happy for them. You'd love to keep them all, Catherine, and just sometimes the business part of it gets in the way.
Is Tremaine's, obviously, that amount, the 5th-year option, the amount he's supposed to count against the cap, is that something you're comfortable with at this point when you're going through these deals, or is the extension a possibility? Where are you kind of with Tremaine?
Yeah, right now we're just planning to hold that number, and we haven't talked about anything. If that were to happen, it'd probably be down the road, definitely after the draft.
Brandon, what are you cap-wise?
Right on it. So if you quarterback's FaceTime with me here. You must know I'm on here. I don't know the number, Joe. We're close. I mean, we got a little bit, but we don't have a lot.
So does that mean you may have to make other moves to lock in a quarterback, backup quarterback, or other moves?
I'm counting some of that. That's where I don't know what's on the books yet, Joe, to tell you, and John, like, which ones we put in where it's at. I've got a spreadsheet of the moves I have, but some of them haven't happened yet.
Joe has one too.
Joe, can you tell me if we add, no, I'm just kidding. Yeah. So, yeah, I know we're going to be close. We've got some positions, including the backup quarterback, what I'm doing there, and where that's going to most likely end up, still working through that.
Are there other positions besides backup quarterback?
Yeah.
You think in free agency you specifically want to address?
Yeah, I mean, we're shopping, you know, please come to us for as cheap as you can right now. We're trying to tell people, sell opportunity. Come here and we'll help you improve your value for next year.
Has that approach been working? Is the Mitch Trubisky model, I mean, it worked pretty well for him.
Yeah, we're going to try it, because that's, you know, we're at the point where we can't really extend ourselves too much. Awesome.
Do you think you'll still have holes to fill when you get to the draft?
You know, we're trying to fill as many of them as we can. You know, paying a contract like Vaughn probably makes it hard to say I can walk into the draft and we're ready to go, but I think we'll be okay to where, you know, we're still going to take the best player, and especially early, in the early rounds. Awesome, thank you.
It's funny you said it's like a first date.
Update on Shaq, he's still going through the
Ron said
process.
yesterday, it felt like he was breaking up for his girlfriend.
Oh.
Didn't do anything to him
Yeah.
for a new girlfriend.
It was hard. I appreciated him. He went through it the right way. It was hard on him, but yeah, cool. Thanks, man. Good seeing you. Appreciate you.
Juju just signed with the Chiefs. You might need me and Matt.
Daquan Jones, by the way,
You can do it?
he's
me and Matt.
Cruz after signing.
How's your back pedal?
My back pedal is good. I'm forward in the hip still too.
I know, I'd be hard.
Did you go last night? Did you go to the game?
I did, yeah.
It's good. It was fun.
That, muscle